Azaleas are one of the most beautiful flowers that can grace your spring garden. Aren't these gorgeous? Today we're going to take a look at 6 things that you can do to ensure that they give you lots of blooms and that they survive for many years. If you've never been here before, my name is Marlene. Welcome to my home and garden channel. So azaleas are flowering shrubs that you will find mostly in the south and southeastern United States, but there are other areas that they can grow in, which we'll take a look at in just a moment. They actually like to have mild temperate climates, meaning that they get at least 4 to 8 weeks where the overnight temperature is below 50 degrees. Also, they're not too cold hardy because they do not like temperatures that go below 0 degrees Fahrenheit. So very cold climates will not be good for this plant. Typically, they grow in zones of 6 to 9. In some cases, though, you may have the deciduous type, meaning that they lose their leaves during the winter. You'll find those growing in like eastern Canada, and you'll also find them growing in the southern parts of England. They typically bloom in the summer, but there are some of them that will bloom for you again in the fall, and these are called encore azaleas. So that's basically twice the beauty. And you can see the prices aren't too bad for them depending on the sizes that you get. And over here you can see there are so many different colors. You have reds, you have peaches, you have pinks, you have whites, you have combinations. And we'll take a look at many of these as we go along here. But let's start with those reasons that's going to help you to get more blooms. And the first one is, and it's very important, is where to plant your azaleas. So azaleas, they pretty much like areas that are part sun. And what does part sun mean? Part sun means that they need to be in an area that gets between 3 to 6 hours of direct sunlight. In cases, you can put them in a dappled shaded area, meaning they have trees over them, so the sun does come in here and there, but they will need to get some sun. If they're not grown in areas that have enough sunlight, they're not going to be beautiful like these ones that you're seeing here. You're going to find that they tend to be very lanky and they're not full and fluffy, and that's the look that we want. They kind of remind me when the first time I saw them of like growing up and we had those chenille spreads. It kind of reminded me of that, the ones that are really closely packed together. But these are just so beautiful and I absolutely love them. And if you've never tried one before, I certainly hope that you will. It's definitely worth your time. And, you know, they're cure-free for the most part. What I will say, though, in terms of, you know, having them in dappled areas, trees like this Japanese magnolia right here are perfect combinations for them. They're not too large and they protect them. I did a previous video showing you, the prices for different Japanese maples. The prices can be a little bit up there, but honestly, if you get the smaller ones, you can see that it's going to cost you a lot less. And I will link that video at the end so you can take a look at it and the other flowers to see what you can combine that is perfect for them. It's just so wonderful to see in the springtime. Another good one to plant, nearby or over them would be like your dogwood tree, because they're not really large trees and they have a fair amount of, branching that allows light in. Then there's also like your cherry blossom, ornamental cherry that blooms there as well. We're going to take a look at feeding them now. And as far as feeding them goes, they don't demand a whole lot, but, you can amend the soil by putting in like the feed I'm linking here. You can get this in the description box. You can see the link there for Amazon if you wanted to get some of those. Bear in mind that they like acidic soil. So if the soil in your area is alkaline, it's not going to work. Adding coffee grounds definitely helps, if the soil is neutral, as well as, other things that will help to acidify the soil, like, compost. And just to say before we go any further, if you do love gardening, I'd be so pleased if you'd hit the subscribe button and tap the notification bell twice so you never miss an upload of all my gardening topics. Now let's take a look at pruning. So pruning is very important. Here we're showing you an edge trimmer that we can use. If you want to have nice, fluffy looking blooms like these, then you really will want to prune them, but at the right time. The ones that basically come out for you and bloom in the spring, you'll want to prune those immediately after the flowers have faded. The encore ones is kind of similar too, because you want to have them blooming again in the fall. You'll want to go in, and once they have faded, you go ahead and you take trim them very lightly, not as heavily as the spring blooming ones, and then, or the spring only blooming ones, I should say, and then you'll have them come up again for you. Now, if you don't prune them, they'll still bloom for you, but you're not going to get as many. You'll still see springs coming forth and everything like that, but you're not going to get that fullness that you want. So I'd say definitely go in and, take the time to prune them off. And, you can have them looking wonderful for you. Now, some of the flowers are larger than others, so they won't be as dense in how they look, but they're still very beautiful and still very healthy. Look at this one right here. Isn't it gorgeous, guys? Now, as far as winterizing them goes, that's the next thing that we're looking at here. These ones, they did not make it. Why? Because they were kind of like they were out in the open. They did not get much protection from the drafts. It was a very, very cold winter. We went down to 10 degrees Fahrenheit for in that area for a couple of days, and they just did not make it. So an option that you have, which we do for some of our plants, is to get this like a blanket that you can put over them. It's a frost protection blanket, and you can put it over there. Here, my husband is basically taking it apart. They have the white ones too if you prefer not to have the green ones, but there's so many options, and it allows water to come through, it allows sunlight to come through, and it's not going to burn them like plastic or anything like that. See how it looks there? So it's a perfect solution if you have very, very cold weather coming, because sometimes the weather can be a little unstable. So this is a good solution for that, and then you get the result like this, because this one is only a few feet away from the other one. And they make a great backdrop. You can see me here taking a picture with my sister about a year ago. And, it was just so wonderful, a wonderful experience. So, I definitely recommend using them in every which way you can in your landscape. Now we're going to take a look at watering. Now, as far as watering goes, they like to have moisture, but they don't like to have soggy soil. So the soil needs to be well drained, but at the same time, you want to make sure that they have some moisture. So you want to water them carefully in the summertime, maybe like if it's dry, maybe like 2 to 3 times per week as a minimum, and just check them to see how they're looking. And always apply mulch, especially in the summertime, to make sure that it retains the moisture in there so it doesn't dry out as quickly. Not too thick a layer. Now let's go ahead and take a look at pests and diseases. Now, as far as diseases go, there can be prone sometimes to fungal diseases on the leaves, on occasion perhaps on the flowers. But what you want to do is to just check to see if the leaves have their normal looking color. If you're seeing like any fleckling, any spots, you'll want to go in and treat them. Of course, you can use fungicides if you like, but what I do personally that works on most of my plants that have, fungal, whenever they get fungal infections, is that I use hydrogen peroxide. This rose was looking so bad last season. I sprayed it with some hydrogen peroxide, and you can see how healthy it is looking right there. So basically, you're going to get 1 part hydrogen peroxide to 2 parts water, and then you're going to, make that solution with them. And you, of course, need a spray bottle, a larger one if you're doing a large area, a smaller one. I'm just doing a little bit today just to show you as an example. So I have a little bottle there that came from the dollar store. So what we're going to do is to go in and just pour out. I'm just going to do like 1 cup. So I'm going to put 1/3 of the hydrogen peroxide solution in here. So there's a 1/3 cup, and I'm going to top it up with 2/3 cup of water. So it's 1 part hydrogen peroxide to 2 parts of water. And that's going to be perfect, and that's going to do the trick for you. But again, if you prefer not to use like these homemade remedies, you can certainly go ahead and get like fungicides if you want to try those on the plants. So I'm just going to go in and pour it in, and then we'll go ahead and get that going. So you can leave me a comment. Let me know if you've ever tried any of these household ways to get these things taken care of, or you just normally prefer to get the ones that they sell in the stores. I do a little bit of both sometimes, but it's good to try them and see if they work, and just test it on a small part of the plant first. Don't put it on everything, regardless of what you're using. Just test a few leaves first, and then if it works, after a few days, you can try for the rest of your plant. Now, as far as pests go, of course, we want to have the wonderful, bugs coming out like bees, bumblebees, to help to pollinate our other plants. But we can have what is called lace bugs on there sometimes, and that can really make a mess. You can use like insecticidal soap like these that I'm putting here. I'll link at least one of those below for you and see if that works for you. And, that helps to protect the other bugs so they don't get hurt, because we need those in our landscape. And I just want to say thank you to all of you so much who have subscribed to my channel. You've used my affiliate links, you have watched my live videos, my short videos, and all of those. Now here is your bonus point, guys, and I actually have two for you, so even better. The first one is in reference to eggshells. Many of us gardeners, we like to add eggshells to our plants because it gives them calcium and they get a really nice boost from it. Plants like tomatoes especially love that. The only thing though is that when you add eggshells to your plants, it makes the soil a bit alkaline. And if you remember, azaleas, they like when their soil is acidic. So that's going to be neutralizing it out, and that's not good for the plant. Other plants too, such as camellias, and I did a video on this very recently, so be sure to check that out when you get a chance. I'll link it in the description box below for you. But yes, they don't like the eggshells because they do want that acidity in the soil. So you can save your eggshells for your tomatoes and other plants like that. Now let's take a look at the second bonus point, which is that to have nice healthy leaves, what I do for many of my plants is that I use Epsom salt on them. What I do is I use 2 tablespoons of Epsom salt, and I'll link that one in the description box if you wanted to get them online on Amazon. I add the 2 tablespoons of it to 2 gallons of water. Give it a good shake and then apply to the plants, and it gives them such a wonderful boost. You get really nice, healthy looking leaves, and this you'll want to do after the plant has flowered, when it's ready to put leaves out and the flowers are behind it. So I hope that this was helpful to you. Thank you so much for watching, and I certainly hope to see you in the next video. Happy gardening. Take care.